Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Legends about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast where could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Is that us?
I think that's us.
I don't know about you, Lee, but
From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
and from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week. This week in the Lesdom is somewhere we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. In season 7, we're releasing even more Patreon bonus episodes. Our next episode on Will and Grace just came out today. So if you want to listen to that, join our Patreon at bit.ly/lespatreon.
It is also your very, very last chance to sign up to go to Costa Rica. You need to buy your tickets by tomorrow. So the end of January, maybe Wednesday. I think it's the end of January that you have to buy your tickets. If you want to join us in Costa Rica in May, you can head to bit.ly/Lesdo Costa Rica. We are so excited. So we hope we'll see you there.
We are also very excited because our first episode of Journey to the Heart just came out last week. It has been 3 years in the making. We are so happy to have it come to your ears. Curious to hear what you think about our ABCs. Which one's your favorite? I know people were saying they really like Babette, and I'm offended because I'm Charlie, but it's fine. But there's someone for everyone, right? You know, the little trio.
I hear that Rosalind's hot.
Oh yeah, Rosalind is tall, hot, and blonde, I've heard. Just like you.
Just like
Just
me.
like you. So
True to life.
So if you want to listen to Journey to the Heart, it is available everywhere you listen to podcasts. And episode 2 just came out today. And after episode 2 is when you get to vote on what happens in episode 3. So this is the big voting turning point moment for everyone.
Yeah, if you haven't started listening yet, this is a great week to jump in so that you can help decide what's going to come out a week from today. So
Get on
important
that.
things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
In the greater Lez universe, listen, we know what queer women have been talking about all week, and it's Renee Rapp on SNL.
We're cool.
That's it.
We're hip. We know.
We're hip. We know what the kids are talking about. We know the kids are looking respectfully at Renee Rapp.
Very
on
respectfully.
SNL.
Yes.
But listen, sometimes it just feels like as, queer women, we just keep winning. And so when you have Renee Rapp being like, I'm a lesbian, and can a gay girl get an amen? And of course, when you have a bunch of hot queer people in your movie, it's going to be super gay and awesome.
We're fans. Big fans.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, I read this article in Autostraddle that was talking about the Abbey and their gay reckoning. I just thought the wording was hilarious to it, but I also was like, I fucking hate the Abbey. So yes, I'm super happy to hear that the Abbey is having its day in the media, where basically there was an article written about how a bunch of people have been getting drugged at the Abbey, which is completely messed up. But it's also the Abbey has always been a horrible place for gay people. It has been horrible. So yes, don't go there. It sucks. That's my...
Isn't that also, I feel like I was just seeing something too about people getting a little assaulted there and stuff.
Oh yeah, the Abbey has never been a safe place for queer people. It is
Yeah.
not safe. So yeah, now there's like more public backlash against them for not being safe, but it has never been a safe place. Like never been safe. So that's that.
Also want to talk about Has Been Hotel. So, I mean, listen, as people who are in the midst of releasing our own, like, very animated style musical, love this. There is a new, very queer musical animated series on Amazon Prime called Has Been Hotel, starring some of our faves, like Stephanie Beatrice is in it, Kimiko Glenn is in it, who else is in it? I don't even know. Just, you know, it's got a great cast, and I think it is about, like, the daughter, like, Lucifer's daughter or something.
The princess,
starts a rehab house.
The princess of hell is basically trying to save people's souls. Yeah.
I'm here for it. So if you haven't checked it out, I haven't watched it yet, but I know it's on my list. I'm excited to check it out. Has Been Hotel.
That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome to episode 12 of season 7, our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or shows.
And as a reminder, we are also writing and recording original songs for each of our Lez-ssentials movies. So you're going to want to stick around to the very end of today's episode for our original song for this episode, entitled Going Down Swinging.
Lee's in her chaotic era, everyone, so get ready for it.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, buttercup. Buckle up, bitches. And for this Lez-ssentials, we are talking about the 2023 hit cult classic film, Bottoms.
I fucking love this movie.
It's so good.
I love this movie. Bottoms is directed by Emma Seligman. It's also written by Emma Seligman and Rachel Sennott, and it stars Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri.
What a bop.
What a fucking fantastic movie. Just...
Emma Seligman is the writer of Shiva Baby. That was like one of her first things, right? Which Lee and I still have not seen, but I know that it was like such a like huge hit, and like she's been working with Rachel Sennott basically since. So I love that they're like getting back together for this chaos, like high school. I don't know how to say it. It's like high school virgins. That's usually men, and now we're making it queer. So love it.
We're gonna talk about it. So starting with the IMDb synopsis for Bottoms is as follows. 2 unpopular queer high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation.
I mean,
which, actually, I'm fine with.
See, this movie is so, the premise is so simple.
Yeah.
So this IMDb synopsis, it works. It works.
It's so simple and so insane, you know?
Absolute chaos.
So, okay, here's what I want to, okay, send help. Here's what I want to do for this episode, Ellie. I know we say this every time, and we know better about ourselves than to ever think we're going to do this. But
don't do it.
Listen, here's what I think, because I know you were just saying you haven't rewatched it in a little bit, okay? I just rewatched it. I am going to give us a super, super crash course overview of the plot in case people haven't seen it, because one of the things I do know is it was only in theaters, right? It had like an extremely limited theatrical release.
Yes.
And since then you basically have to buy it to watch it, right? Like, is it,
you have to rent it. You have to pay to rent it. Yeah, it's not
rent it or buy it. Yeah. So on the off chance that anybody has not seen the movie, I'm going to go over like the very, very high level plot points. And I promise I'm going to stop myself because I do actually have so many things I want to talk about with this movie.
Great.
Okay. So
I'm ready.
Just as
I will let you go.
Refresher / quick overview for anybody who hasn't seen Bottoms yet. And I am going to try so hard to do this as like just a straight plot overview, although it's going to sound fucking crazy. Okay. So we meet PJ and Josie, who are Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri's characters. They are going into their next, I think, senior year of high school, right? And they're both pretty bottom of the totem pole, and they're like, this is our year. They both have giant crushes on cheerleaders, and they're like, we're gonna hit our stride, and we're gonna like fuck some cheerleaders and get laid before we go off to college. Okay? So that's the basic premise. The way they decide to do that is that they're like, oh, a student got attacked by the football players from the rival high school, so we're going to start a fight club to empower women to fight. And to do that, we're going to tell everyone that we went to juvie and killed a whole bunch of girls in like a Hunger Games situation, and then we're going to start this fight club. And then they start a fight club, and then all of these girls have a fight club where they go and beat the fucking shit out of each other after school every day. And then they all wander through school with like bloody like lips and bruises and like black eyes, and they're like, yeah, that's us, haha, and they become super cool. And then Josie does hook up with Isabel, who's the cheerleader she's had a crush on, because Isabel found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her. And then it comes out that these two were lying about going to juvie, and they did not go to juvie at all, and they lied about all of this stuff, and so all of the girls are rightfully angry and disappointed. And then and then they go to a football game with their big rival football team, and they slaughter approximately 12 to 15 high school boys on a football field. And then everyone has a happy ending. The end. What do you think?
Great synopsis.
Great. I hit all the high points.
You
right?
hit every point. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we dive into like how gay, like the gay stuff about this movie, because from a queer perspective,
well, it's just unlimited gay. Yeah, I mean, it's
unlimited gay. It's so fucking gay from start to finish. I can't even stand it. So I want to dive into all of that. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about why this movie works so well for me and why I think it's so funny. Because I feel like we watched this movie. I went into it knowing almost nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I'd seen the trailer. That was it. So you saw the trailer and you're like, okay, it's going to be a fight club. They're like punching each other. Great. And you watch this movie, and because Kelsey and I watched it together, and you're sitting there, and as you're watching the movie the first time, like, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen this yet. If you want to have the experience of watching it the first time without knowing anything, like, stop the episode now. Please go rent it or buy it and watch it first, because I am going to spoil what I think is one of the most delightful things about this movie, okay? And that is watching it without knowing anything about it. Because you go into this movie, and you start, and you're like, okay, yeah, we've got gay high school losers, relatable content, sure. And then it starts getting like a little crazier. So they come up with this plan, and you think, sure, this is fine. Like, they're all beating each other up. And it's a little weird because you're like, wow, they're like really wailing on each other. And like, you really get these like the fist in the face, like they're knocking each other to the ground. They're like spitting out blood and stuff. And you're like, wow, interesting. I like didn't know it was going to be quite so graphic, right? Like, how weird. And then they like blow up Jeff's car, right? And I feel like the blowing up of Jeff's car was the first moment for me where I was like, wait, what? What? Like, I don't know why was what did it for me.
Honestly, I feel like it was like, I need to rewatch this movie, but I feel like for me, it was like, honestly, like 2 minutes. It was very briefly into the movie where I was like, this movie's batshit.
It is batshit, but I feel
like you didn't think they were going to go that far, right?
Right.
Then they were like, oh, we destroyed a man's like we literally set off a bomb.
It
like,
was batshit in a way that was still sort of like in a realistic threshold to me.
Of a normal teen film. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it goes so
then
off
they
the
blow
rails.
up his car, and that was the first moment for me where you were like, what? Like, what happened here? And so you have that experience, and then they go into the final football game, right? Yes. And the final football game is so weird, right? Because from that very moment where they look across to the stands and they're like, wait, there's no one in the opposing stands, and you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Why did they not put anyone in the opposing stands? Like, that's so anti your typical high school movie, right? Like, you expect to have the like two rival, so you have one empty stands, which already is like, if you've watched high school movies, you're just like, this feels off somehow.
Creepy,
I don't understand why. And then that first football player that they run through with a sword, you're just like, oh,
this is what we're doing.
it's so we didn't have to somehow have in our minds like the families and friends of all of these teenage football players getting slaughtered, I guess, so that you can just sort of buy in and be like, yeah. But even as you're doing it, you're a little like, what?
Yes.
Like, what's happening?
The final scene is so insane. I love how we're starting at the final scene, but
we're starting at the final scene, but because there's a reason, okay? And here's what I thought about this a lot when I was rewatching it, because the first time it was like going along for the ride. You're so confused, right? Because you didn't, at least we didn't.
I mean,
we didn't expect it.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to murder a bunch of men.
Sylvie runs that dude through with a sword, and Kelsey literally was like, oh my god, like, what just happened? Like, did she literally just kill him?
You expect it to be a dream sequence.
Yes.
Like, you expect it to be completely fake, and then they're like, and all these men are dead.
Okay, and so here's the problem. So I was thinking about it, because going in, obviously, on the rewatch, you know what to expect. I was able to, like, sell myself into the insanity of it all from the get-go, which I think helped a lot. And I was trying to unpack it. I was like, why is this so funny to me? Why does it work so well? And what is it? Like, what is it that's happening? What am I watching here, right?
We don't know.
Here's what I landed on. And yeah, murder. And the problem is, I landed on a decision of, like, what I think is happening that is extremely rooted in a certain era of time. And I don't know if this is going to be an era that we share, Ellie. So you have to tell me, did you watch Mad TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want to say for my discussion. So when I was 9, we moved back from France, right? Like, we moved back to Connecticut. And for a couple of years, we lived with my grandparents. So when I was living with my grandparents, like, they had, it's a grandparents' house. They have a bunch of, like, old shit lying around. And one of the things that they had is my uncle's collection of 1970s Mad magazines. Mm-hmm. Right? Like a huge stack, like, giant collection of Mad magazines. And I read, like, hundreds of Mad magazines while we lived with my grandparents. Okay. And so I remember when I was it must have been when I was in high school. Okay. That Mad TV premiered, and for anyone who is younger or just didn't watch it at the time, Mad TV premiered, and it was sort of pitched as the, like, alternative to SNL, right?
Yes.
It was like, oh, it's sketch comedy, right? But they built it around this whole thing of Mad Magazine. That was, like, the whole premise of it, right? And anyone who read Mad Magazine, have you ever read a Mad Magazine?
I've never read Mad Magazine. I've seen Mad TV, but I've not read the magazine.
Okay, so here's the problem. Anyone who'd ever read Mad Magazine and watched Mad TV was like, these two things have nothing to do with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing to do with each other, right? It was a totally different style of humor, because Mad Magazine is such a hard type of humor to capture.
Yeah.
And what I realized watching this movie is what Mad Magazine made into a film media format should have been. Because Mad Magazine comics were absolutely bonkers. Like, insane. And they were always insane in a really specific way. They were insane in a way that felt like it should have been grounded in reality, and then rapidly wasn't. Like, just rapidly had nothing to do with reality, right? Like, I was trying to think this morning, and I was like, can I actually remember, like, a real Mad Magazine comic? And I can't, but I came up with, like, here would be an example of a Mad Magazine comic, right? It's like, you'd have a kid who would be like, oh my god, I'm so hungry, like, what do I want to eat? And then he'd be like, we have stuff to make a sandwich. And so you'd be like, okay, great, hungry kid, super, like, realistic world setting that we're in, right? And then he'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna make a huge sandwich. And he would just be, like, getting food, like, insane amounts of food out of a fridge, right? And so you'd be like, okay, the insane thing here is gonna be, like, the size of the sandwich that he's going to make and consume, like, ha ha ha. And then it would be like a thing of him just, like, slicing up all of this food and, like, cutting up, like, pickles and tomatoes and, like, meat and cheese and stuff. And then you'd, like, look, and he'd go to, like, pick up his sandwich, and it would be like, oh no, I accidentally sliced up like the entirety of one of my arms and like put it into this sandwich and then like just eat the damn sandwich, right? Like that's the kind of thing that would happen in like a Mad Magazine comic, right? Is you'd be like, I know what the insane thing is going to be, and you never did. You never did, because it was always so much more insane than you could ever have started out being ready for.
Yes.
That's what this movie is. This movie is a fucking Mad Magazine movie, and I love it because it's crazy. It's crazy. Everything about it is so insane. There's no grounding in reality, right?
It's so insane. Well, also if you look at it, so like, you know, a lot of people have been talking about it as like a remake of an 80s film or like those kind of teen movies, right?
It's not.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like when you look at like the structure of those films, it like is a weird caricature of it, right? Like it's like, oh, so she wants to sleep with the girl and she sleeps with the girl. Like, I guess that's a kernel of it, right? Yeah. And like, oh, they like start this after school club to like get close, or like, you know, like what's it called? The Breakfast Club. We're in detention and we get to know each other better after school. Except instead, we're beating the shit out of each other. Like
it's like remember that scene in The Breakfast Club where they actually then just committed like terrorist acts on each other? Like, remember that scene?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That was so cute.
Yeah,
right,
she does the weird girl's makeup and then they run someone through with a sword, right? Like that movie.
Exactly, that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're like,
John Hughes classic.
Yeah. You're like, I sort of know what's about to happen, and you're like, I have no fucking clue. Like, even if you think about the end, right? There's the whole thing where basically I feel like PJ's like, we're gonna have our redemption arc because we're gonna save the football team, right? From these sprinklers. And you're like, yes, heroes, they're gonna do it. And then they're like, by murdering the other team. And you're like, could you have not just warned the team to get to...
They cut to that shot of all the football players just lying dead, bloody on the ground. It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. But you know what I love about it? Rewatching it, it was so immediately obvious to me that I'm like, I don't know how I didn't pick up on it. Because here's what I think they did. They did such a genius way of doing this.
I haven't seen... I'm like, I need to see this again. But you think they foreshadowed the finale?
I don't think they foreshadowed the finale. Okay, when I say I should have seen this coming, I don't mean the slaughter of a football team full of teenagers. No, what I mean is like I should have realized that it was a Mad Magazine first, like earlier. And here's what I think should have tipped me off, right? The movie starts and you meet PJ and Josie. And like one of the shining stars of this movie is the performances that Rachel Sennott and Ayo Debris give, because they're both so fucking funny. Yeah. They improv'd so much of this movie, right? And so you meet them in this scene where they are being slightly insane versions of real people, right? Like the way they are talking. They start the movie in a way that makes it look like PJ and Josie are gonna be the crazy part of this movie. Like they're going to be the like over the top characters.
Yeah, they're the SuperBad of it all.
Yes. And what you realize immediately as soon as you meet anyone else in this movie is actually they are the two most grounded in reality characters in the whole thing. Because think about everyone else you meet. Everyone is like this nth level caricature of a human.
Yes.
Right? So you meet Hazel, who is like gullible to a level that could never exist. Yes. Right? You meet Isabel, who is like, take the ditzy cheerleader archetype and like blow it up as high as you can. You meet Brittany, where it's like she literally doesn't eat solid food. Right? Yeah. You meet Jeff, who is like the popular high school quarterback who has the IQ, I think, of like a 4-year-old child, right? Who has his best friend, like sidekick,
best friend lover,
man, like best friend lover, like every single person in this movie, like the teacher. That teacher could not exist in reality. Every single person in this movie.
Wait, the teacher who runs the Fight Club?
Yes. Yeah. Right? Like, so
also,
did you read that
stuff? Sorry, what's his name?
Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. Marshawn Lynch did this movie because his sister's gay.
That's so fucking
Is that
funny.
so funny? Where he was
I
like,
love it so much.
He's like, yes, I love my gay sister. Let me do this movie.
Yes. Well, and so it's like, okay, so at every step of this movie, every single person that you meet is like more insane than the last.
Yes.
Right? And that's what should have been my tip-off, is that the two characters that they set you out to be like, wow, look at these insane characters of high schoolers, like, ha ha ha, they're going to be so funny and crazy and wacky in this movie, are actually the most realistic people in the whole story. And so, of course, it goes off the rails because, like, nobody is real. Nobody could possibly be
and that's,
real.
I mean, that's
These are
also
not real
why
people.
it doesn't really hit you. Like, you just get set up through the whole thing that, like, it's like, oh, yeah, like, she got, like, her nose broken, like, whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, they're literally just, like, keeping your threshold of, like, they keep pushing the thresholds.
It's
entire
you know how
movie.
they say, like, if you dump a frog in boiling water, it, like, jumps right out, but if you, like, slowly ramp up the water temperature, it'll just, like, happily sit there until it gets cooked.
Yes,
like,
that's us
that's
watching
what's
Bottoms.
happening. That's
Yes.
us watching Bottoms. We are that frog slowly getting boiled to death. And death is
And
watching
loving
that football
it.
team gets massacred, and
Yeah.
you are just rooting for them the whole time. You're like, yes, rip their fucking heads off, set another bomb off, Hazel, do it, blow it up. Like, there's no like thing they could have done at that point that you would have been like, that's a little too far. You're just like, yeah, why
I'm
not?
here for it.
I'm
in
here
it.
for it.
I'm watching it. It's happening.
I am a willing participant in this. Like, yeah, it's just it's just so satisfying as somebody who, like, watched a bunch of Mad TV at a time where I was like, it just never was what Mad Magazine was and what I wanted it to be. And then you watch this and you're like, this is it. So if you were a Mad Magazine fan back in the day and you were like, I don't know, Bottoms seems like it's for the young, hip gays. Like, no, man, this is your movie. This is for you. This is your time. Like, this is Spy versus Spy. Just insane things. Like, you could never be ready. You could never be ready.
I also am
love
just
it.
like, I just would have died to be just a fly on the wall in that freaking writer's room when they're like, and so here's how we're going to write this. And what if we just killed them all?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Right, because they have all these lines throughout the thing where it's like when they start the club and they're all going through, they're like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be able to do this, and then Sylvie's like, I'm gonna kill my stepfather. And there's like that pause and they're all like, yeah.
Go for
right?
it.
And by the end of the movie, you're like, where's her fucking stepfather? Let's get him. She's got a sword, bitches. Like, let's do this.
Like, kill her stepfather. Like,
kill her stepfather.
That's the minimum we could do in this film. Yeah.
It's just, suddenly the bloodlust has overtaken you, and that's just where we're at. It's fine.
I know. And that's why the acting is so good in this too. Like, is like, in the absolute absurdity of it, you're like, I believe it.
Yes.
I believe it. I believe it all.
I give them all the Oscars, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Give Io Debris the Oscar just for that, the deacons fucking the evangelist Hezekiah speech.
Yes.
Give her the Oscar.
Oh, God. Also, let's talk a little bit about, like, I just feel like there's so many parallels, right, between the American Pies of the world, like the gay, like the young nerds trying to, like, sleep with women kind of thing, right?
Okay, let's take a quick break and talk about that as soon as we get back. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/Lez Hang Out today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lez Hang Out.
Let's hang out.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Okay, so I'd really love to talk about like the parallels we have between the like young man nerds and these two ugly, untalented gays. Because they still from like sorry, I want to say something that I don't know is gonna, I feel like there's a lot of pressure sometimes for us to have gay characters that are perfect, quote unquote. Right? Because it's like, okay, like when we talk about positive representation, it's not necessarily like gay character who like does everything right.
They do nothing right.
They
do
do
not a single thing
nothing
right in this whole movie.
They are actually like pretty messed up, right? Like, to lie about being in jail is like that entire, like when, because you were like, yeah, with the IO speech, I was like, when she's going on and on about like how she killed a girl and blah 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 and like all this crazy shit, and I'm like, how did this character
had to make some shivs, and then
like,
you know,
how did this
it was raining
feel
that
like
night.
she really has to go that hard, and like this is the thing that you think will get you girls, and to be fair, it does. So it's sort of crazy, but yeah, they're liars. Like, they're untalented, right? It's like,
they're objectifying women.
Yeah. And it's like I think it sort of like shines a light on that too with PJ and Josie's character, right? Because both of them are like PJ is really objectifying women, right? Like, girl is like very crude, graphic about things, and Josie's like, yeah, but I love Isabel, right?
Yeah.
Which is also so stereotypical, like the young gay, or I keep saying gay, but I mean, because I'm like, oh yes, SuperBad, gay. Oh yes, American Pie, gay. But, but like the
Ellie
young...
and I have never heard of a straight movie.
No. And actually, SuperBad would be a really good should have been gay. They're so gay together. But like the teen boys, like you usually do have one of them who's like, yeah, we're gonna fuck girls, and the other one who's like, I'm sensitive and sweet, and whatever, right? But to turn it on his head and make it queer, you're just like, I'm eating this shit up, eating it up. And you also have like a whole arc where I feel like PJ realizes that like she should stop objectifying women in that way, and like you don't love that person, like you're not into that person. You just are into the idea of them. And I think that's a very relatable, like, young gay storyline, right? Where she's like, I'm super into Brittany because, like, she's hot and a cheerleader, right? And then they kiss and she's like, I'm straight. And that's a whole thing. And then she's finally like, oh, actually, I really like Hazel. And now we're making out and whatever. And it's like, okay, yes, the person who's been sort of, like, in front of you the whole time and is actually gay. So I love, as much as it's chaotic, there's some good life lessons in here.
I love how they handled that whole scene where she tries to kiss Brittany and Brittany's like, oh, I'm straight. Like, because I feel like it is one of the things that I don't know if we talk as much about sometimes when we do get like queer teen films. And it feels like because of the type of movie, it's always this thing where it's like, and they're going to get the girl in the end. And it's like, actually, sometimes you need to prep the young baby gays for the idea that, like, that girl's not going to be into girls. Like, sometimes they're straight. Even when they're dropping all the signs, even when they're, like, lapping up the attention you're giving them, even when they're kind of being flirtatious and whatever, sometimes they are straight. I mean, as bewildering as it is to us,
it doesn't make any sense.
Are straight. I know. And so I love how they handled that because it's just so matter of fact, and then they don't hang on it, right?
Yes, and
They're just like, obviously, oh, this happened, and it's okay. It's okay for both of them, you know. I mean, obviously, like Brittany's mad about the whole like you created a fight club to
sleep
fuck
with me
cheerleaders, But they're not. She's not upset that PJ tried to kiss her.
Yes, it's like I feel like there's like part of being gay where you're a little scared of your safety in that situation, and that never really feels like an issue, right? It's like she's like, okay, like it's okay that you're gay and you kissed me, but yeah, it's not my vibe. And here's the thing, like that could be anyone also, like even if they are not straight. Like there's a scene in Modern Family where at some point like Mitchell sees this boy he kissed when he was like a teenager, and the boy was like, oh yeah, like I'm not into you in that way, and he always assumed it was because he was straight. And then he finds out later that he was actually gay and he just didn't like him. And it's like it's funny too. But I feel like we also need to get used to the idea too that like, okay, you kissed someone, they weren't into it. And for any various reason, that's okay.
That's okay. That's just a thing that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah. But I do think it is good to have that scenario baked in.
Yeah, because honestly, I almost liked it better than both of them getting the girls that they had been going after the whole time.
Mhm.
You know?
Well,
Even in the absurdist world that we were in, I feel like I would have been like, really? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
A little much.
And also because like they don't have any chemistry really together. It's like it was very much PJ's like, this girl's hot, I want to be with a hot girl. But it didn't feel like they like had any sort of like intense connection really anyways.
Yeah.
So I liked how that played out. I also think too, the funny thing about Bottoms is like Josie and Isabel, I'm like, okay, cool, they got together, but like I also don't care about them.
No.
Do you know
it's
what I
not
mean?
really the
Like,
point of the movie.
not
It's great
really
to
the
have
point.
it.
Like it's not
It's
the
great
point.
to get that.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not the point.
It's not the point. Right? It's like not the point. And it's also like the point is about like queer friendship as well. So like what happens when like you're that's your best friend and like now they're starting to talk to girls and like things shift between the two of you because now they're with the girlfriend and blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of, you know, good queer teen themes.
Yeah.
We got bouncing around.
I love seeing more movies that focus more on like I feel like the bigger point here is PJ and Josie's friendship. Like here are two gay teens in high school and
of course they're friends with each other because they're gay, but they're not they're not attracted to each other just because they're gay, right? They're friends.
Yes. Exactly. Two gay friends because that is what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
You form that lifelong connection with the other obvious gay, and that's gay magnetism. And so I love that is the point of the movies. You're watching them navigate this new thing. How do we do this? What happens when you feel coerced into your friend's crazy idea? What happens when one of you gets the girl and one of you doesn't? What happens when you have a huge fight, right? Like all of that stuff, I'm just like, yes, give me that shit. And again, all of that stuff is the part of the movie that's the most grounded
in reality.
Yes. And that's why I think it's so funny that I didn't get what was happening the first time through, because you watch it again and you're just like, oh, that's the movie with just this like layer of insanity dropped on top of it to make this whole plot. And it's just it works so well for me. I love it so much.
It is so funny. And it also is like, I'd like to bring up Booksmart as well, because that's another one of our Lez-ssentials. And I feel like it's similar, but it's so different. And I feel like that's like important for us in the queer media landscape, because like how many teen movies do we have with straight people, right?
Yep.
So like I feel like it's like, okay, you can make another queer teen story and it's a different story.
Yes.
Right? Like these two films are sort of similar in that they're like a similar-ish genre.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Well, and like Booksmart, I feel like played with the same idea of kind of having people who are slight caricatures.
Yes.
But it was such a different level.
Oh, it was grounded a little more in reality. Like
a little more.
Yeah. It's not as absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is slightly absurd.
Yes.
Right?
As all good teen movies sort of have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a genius way that they got us to that point, right? Because it's not that long of a movie to gradually nudge you to where we get to. I think it's really
it's brilliant.
It's just fun. Okay, I wanna talk a little bit more about, because you just said you were like, oh, Josie and Isabel, you know, like, I wasn't like, who cares? But I want to talk a little bit more about the actual queer relationships that we do see. Mm-hmm. So tell me more, Josie and Isabel. Tell me more about that comment you just made.
Why I'm like, I just do feel like in the same way that PJ and Brittany are idealized, it's the same with Josie and Isabel. Like, it just doesn't feel like they ever got to a point where like I felt like they had a conversation that was rooted in like, I am Josie and you are actually being like, they didn't feel like Josie was ever herself.
She knew her love languages, Ellie. Like, come on.
I just feel like she was never truly herself. Like, I feel like she fell in love with the version of Isabel that's not Isabel, and Isabel fell in love with the version of Josie that's not Josie. So, like, I never felt like there was any sort of, like, real connection between the two of them. Like, it felt like she's a cute, hot cheerleader, and like she's so cute and sweet. And Isabel was like, Josie's a badass and like killed someone. And then like at the end, they're like, let's start over again. And I'm like, based on what? Like, I just don't feel like they have nothing in common.
Okay, but counterpoint.
Yes.
Do you not feel like there is something deeply relatable and satisfying? Well, relatable is probably the wrong word exactly, but deeply satisfying about watching a movie where you watch the hot cheerleader with the boyfriend who is a literal sack of garbage.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like,
10,000%. At least that
terrible,
she left Jeff. Yes.
self-involved, selfish, cheating on her, IQ of toast, like just the dumbest boy, the dumbest, most narcissistic boy, right? Who constantly gets the girl. And is there not something so satisfying about watching her realize how badly she is being treated and realizing, like, because I love that conversation where she's like, she has that line about, like people being willing to do violence for me is one of my love languages, right? And then she's like, and the other one is gifts, like right as Josie's saying, like, is the other one gifts? Like, there's something so, for a queer person, I think satisfying about watching someone have that realization of like, I'm being treated badly and there is someone who would care enough to treat me better, whether it's grounded in reality in any way or not. To me, I feel like it's just this fantasy fulfillment kind of storyline that I actually think like, yeah, great. Because I love that you get both, right? Like you have the outrageous fantasy fulfillment of Josie and Isabel getting together that's sort of balanced out by Brittany being like, oh, actually, I'm not into girls, right?
Yes. And I think too that that's a deeply personal thing for you, Lee. Because I know you have always you were in high school being like, I could treat you better.
Wow. So anyways, good episode, Ellie. We can go now. Look at the time.
Come on. You know you've said that before. I'm not telling the audience
true,
anything
but
new.
Like also how very dare you? How dare.
I know, so funny. No, I agree. It is ridiculously satisfying to be like, to see the men are trash. It's the sketch. Like I feel like I cannot remember this comedian and it always is like burned in my brain. But there's a comedian who does this whole thing about how like, so like my girlfriend used to like only date men and the bar is so low.
Yeah.
She's like, I will like bring her a coffee in the morning. She's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, like
you ask how her day went and listen and they're like,
and
what's happening?
She's done. Right. So like, yes, I agree with the wish fulfillment of that as very satisfying. I'm just like,
it's great.
In terms of like shipping in general, like, you know, like I don't have strong feelings about that ship.
No,
that's all. I'm not going to write fanfic about it, you know?
I think it's fair because you don't know much about either one of them.
I know nothing. Yeah. But I guess that's sort of the point is like most teen movies, you also barely know a thing about their love interest either. Right. So it sort of like puts that on its head as well. Like of the like the Emma Stones in SuperBad. You're like, what did I really know about her character?
Right.
Not
what was the foundation of this relationship?
It was she's cute and I'm a nerd. And I'm like, oh, a cute girl thinks I'm cute. So yeah, it's very archetypal. And it's what it is. And it's cute. And it's wish fulfillment, like you said. I honestly more ship Hazel and PJ.
Yeah. Which is funny because they leave them so unresolved.
What do you mean? I feel like they make out at the end? I guess they're unresolved.
They make out at the end,
unquote.
but not in the context of being into each other. They make out at the end because they needed a distraction and none of the cheerleaders were making out with each other, right?
Yeah,
so PJ runs up and makes out with Hazel. And then they both, like, something clearly, there's a shift
like
that happens.
The resolution is whatever their faces are saying there. Because it was not.
I know, but you don't really get to see, like, I wanted to see more in that final scene. Like, when you see Josie and Isabel make out at the end again, like, I wanted something more between.
Yeah. You wanted just a little, like, so, like, do you want to go out for dinner after this or something? Like,
or even just like an awkward, like shy look and a hand holding or like something. I wanted something.
Yeah. But I think we know what's happening with them. Like it's pretty obvious. And maybe for me, this is also my own personal shit, but I just feel like
please let's hear it. Let's do
no,
this.
it's
let's,
more just
let's
like
do a little back and forth. Yeah.
No, I don't know how to describe it, but it's more just like the fact that they just seem like a more like relatable queer couple. I don't know how to like where it's like because it doesn't feel like wish fulfillment. It feels like they're both cute gays, and then they're like, oh, like friends to lovers kind of thing. Like I don't know. I think for me it's more like the ground. It has more grounding, even though it's also like when you really look at it, PJ is like a complete trash human to Hazel. So there's also like so there's also that where you're like, okay, so there's like sort of a redemption arc for PJ, but like is PJ actually going to be better, or like is she still going to be a huge asshole?
Probably still a huge asshole because she's kind of an asshole. But I also think they have the potential for one of the funniest like how you start dating scenes, which would be to have PJ just be like, we've been dating this whole time, Hazel, and Hazel be like,
okay,
oh
yeah. Didn't you realize we've been dating since I met you?
Yeah, she's just because she's the way they use Hazel's gullibility is so just chef's kiss. It's perfect. It's perfect. They do such a good job with the type of stuff that they say to her. And the voice, like the tone, like the absolute overwhelming layer of sarcasm that they drip onto everything they say. And then she's just like, really? It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
And then to also add that Hazel can make bombs is like, what is her character? It's so ridiculous.
You know what her character is? And it is an archetype that honestly I would love for us to just continue putting in every piece of media. She is a Jason. She's a Jason Mendoza from The Good Place. That's what she is, right?
Yes.
Like, you tell me Jason would not respond to every single thing you say to him with,
cocktail.
Really? And also know how to make a bomb. Yep. Right? That's that character.
That's it.
And I'm like, this is a perfect character. Yes. Let's more of this, please. Give me this. Give me that character and everything, and I will eat it up.
My veins.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we want to talk about this movie?
Oh, God. I don't know. Just if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's so, so good. It's so, so good.
Also, too, I feel like Bottoms did pretty well in the box office considering, right? It had a limited release.
Such a small release.
It had a super small release, so it was like really difficult for people to go see it. However, you know how the gays are. People figured it out and found the theaters they could go to. So I was just looking it up. Bottoms made $12.6 million in the box office with a budget of $11.3 million, which in movie world, they made money. So it does show that like an indie kind of gay teen film, and also because now I think it's interesting that they're just either renting or you have to pay for it. From a like financial standpoint, I bet you that it actually did do pretty well financially.
That's what I'm hoping, right? Because it's like, as much as I want it to be available just for streaming somewhere, I feel like right now they're probably trying to boost
the numbers.
Number. And that's why I think like it's still important, even if you just rent it. Like, even if you just rent it, it's worth it so that we can have more of these, because God, I just want more of these movies. It's so funny. I feel like the same way that you and I super enjoyed Bodies.
Yes.
You know,
I'd also love that we're just like really having a Rachel Sennott season.
This is our Rachel Sennott season, and I am here for it personally. Like,
but it's so funny. And it has a 90% critic score, I believe, like 89%. Like, it's really high on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which you'd think is insane, because when you watch it, it goes off the rails in a way that like the first time almost feels like weird, right? Like you feel a little, you're like, was that the right decision for them to make? And then you sit and think about it and you're like, it was the perfect decision.
Well, yeah,
actually.
and clearly
and I'm glad the critics realized that.
The critics agree. There's very few bad reviews, which I actually find pretty funny, because I'm like, it is, I mean, to me, it's like so fucking hilarious and whatever, but like we are the target demographic, right? So I find it also so funny that even not the target demographic still was like, okay, this movie's fucking hilarious. And that just like is such a testament to the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's so also funny to me that I'm like, okay, so So critics are like, love this like weird gay teen, like
Violent,
absurdist,
over the
violent
top, yeah.
comedy.
And it's
I love
and
it.
they should. And they're right to. And
They're
should
correct.
say it.
I know. Also, I just had such a long week, so I didn't get to watch it again, but I really do want to watch it again. Like, I just didn't have the time, but I need to watch it again. And yes, everyone out there, watch this movie. So if you do want to rent or buy bottoms, which you should, the best way to do that is to do it through our link. So you can go to bit.ly/Lez-ssentials. You'll see all of our Lez-ssentials on there, including bottoms, and you can rent it on Amazon. Or if you want to check out our entire storefront, it has our Lez-ssentials, it has our Should Have Been Gays, and it has our Lez-extracurriculars for Patreon. That's at bit.ly/Lez-shop Amazon.
Okay. Any last things that we need to say about this movie, Ellie? Other than it's a fucking gem.
It is. It's like, I was talking, okay, this is just a personal thing, but I was talking to a lot of gay friends the other day, and we were just like, it feels like all of the like good gay movies, like we almost like passed the prime, right? It's like, even when we're talking about Lez-ssentials, sometimes it's like, there's like not enough new shit coming out. So to get this like new gay gem just feels very exciting.
Such a chaotic gem. And I do want to say,
great.
I feel like, I know that we're like joking about my chaos era and stuff, but I also feel like there was no way to write a serious song for this movie. Like, I just couldn't do it.
Why would you?
I couldn't do it.
Literally, that would be so insane. It'd be actually crazy for you to write a serious song.
Can you imagine if I'd written like,
Make no
here's a
sense.
song and it's just a love song between like Josie and Isabel? Like, insanity.
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
Insanity.
You did the right thing.
Good.
You did the right thing. Amazing. All right, you ready for our Q and Gay?
I'm so ready.
Q and gay.
All right. Question number 1. Have you ever gotten into a fight? A, yes, or B, no?
Like a physical brawl? No, I don't.
Have you ever, so you've never had your nose broken or anything on your face broken?
I have had no part of my face broken.
Me either. I'm just curious.
I was like, what story are you leading into here, Ellie?
No. I mean, no.
Ellie's like, this one time I killed a man with a sword on a football field.
Yeah, on the football field, but that was
I
it.
shivved
That
a
was
girl
it.
in juvie. It was dark times.
Yeah.
Question 2, Ellie. What kind of self-defense knowledge do you have? A, kickboxing. B, karate. C, Krav Maga. Or D, running away.
I think this one's so obvious. D. Ding, ding, ding. I cannot fight. Running away.
I'm trying
Goodbye.
to picture you throwing a punch, and I literally can't.
So I can't punch. You're correct.
Yeah, I can't picture it.
I also feel like I just have very small hands.
Do you just have weak wrists like Britney? Like, is
Yes,
lisping
I
a
do.
pen?
My wrists. My wrists.
I feel like Jana's
Yeah.
just laughing at you in the background.
She is. But my uncles are very, I don't know how to, I guess aggressive. We'll say aggressive.
okay.
Like they've gone into a lot of altercations. And when I was, because I'm from Boston, everyone, if you're from Boston, you get what I'm saying. And when I was younger, my uncles tried to teach me how to throw a punch. So like I technically know the proper technique to make a fist so you don't break your thumb.
Yeah.
But that's all. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so if
question
you
number 3.
ever get into a fight, listeners, don't count on Ellie.
Do not count on me. Please don't put me in your fight club. Like, just don't. You don't want this.
Great.
Question number 3. Who's the worst person in the movie? A, Josie, B, PJ, C, Jeff, or D, Principal Myers?
God, it's really when you sit down and think about it, they're all awful. They're all terrible. God, it's so hard to pick, and surprisingly, I think I have to land on PJ. Like Jeff
I
is
thought
Jeff
you were
is
gonna go with
self-involved.
Jeff.
I know, but the thing about Jeff is I don't expect more of him at all. And PJ, you kind of do. Like at a certain point, I feel like PJ should take responsibility.
Honestly PJ is pretty much a big dick.
Is terrible. Is the worst in this movie. I think she's the worst. I love her, but I think she's the worst.
Yeah, I think that's a proper characterization of PJ.
Yeah.
Like Rachel Sennett was playing it that way. That's how we're supposed to feel.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4, Ellie. Who would have been your dream girl in high school? A, Isabel. B, Brittany. C, Sylvie. Or D, Mrs. Callahan.
Mrs. Callahan. Baby.
Putting in options just for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Question number 5. Who do you ship? A, Josie and Isabel, B, PJ and Brittany, C, PJ and Hazel, or D, Sylvie and Stella Rebecca?
Listen, I think that last one is a ship for sure. Especially after Stella Rebecca like comes out at that last scene where she's like,
yeah.
oh my God, I'm gay. Like, I feel like that should be explored. Like, give us a sequel, you know?
Give us, we need a little more wiggle room on that ship.
Yeah, but I think ultimately probably my top ship for this movie is, I don't know, Josie and Isabel? I guess Josie and Isabel.
I mean, you know what's interesting is like, I also sort of still, I can't get around it, and I still sort of ship PJ and Josie. Even though I'm like, yes, they're friends.
I so don't. I don't know why. I just don't. It doesn't work for me.
I think they did a good job of keeping it like friends, but then
Yeah.
I'm like, I think, okay.
But there's
I think
some passion there. Yeah.
I think the problem that always comes with this, and which is why Should Have Been Gays work so much better, is like when you put this archetype in, they give so much more substance to the friendship.
Yeah.
So like you have more to go on for emotional connection, which is why like our Should Have Been Gays are like, yeah, of course the love interest doesn't matter because you barely spent time with them.
Right.
All you did was have these cheerleaders become best friends and have sleepovers. Like, how are we not supposed to read that as gay? You know? So that's my little soapbox. But remember, listeners, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Lez Hang Out Pod. For all of our Lez-ssentials, we have drinking game rules. Now, we always like to preface this. Please, drink responsibly. Do not die. Please do not. Some of these drinking game rules.
You didn't make this super survivable, though.
No, it's not survivable.
Okay,
like,
great.
This one is pretty rough. So please be careful, but also have fun. All right, here we go. Drinking game rule number 1. Every time PJ says bitches.
So fair.
Every time someone gets knocked out. So that's not hit, okay? They have to be completely knocked out. All right, because there's a lot of punches thrown.
Putting
All
some
right,
thresholds in. Got it.
Just to clarify, I mean, if everyone got punched, you'd be dead. 3, every time Tim tries to expose PJ and Josie. 4, every time Hazel believes an obvious lie.
God, I love Hazel.
5, you're just going to waterfall during the final football fight scene.
Wow. Wow. Why do you want to kill our listeners, Ellie?
Drink as much as you want. You know what I mean? Just have a little sip at the end. 6, anytime Josie or PJ kiss their dream girl, quote unquote. So that's either Isabel or Brittany. 7, anytime Jeff cheats on Isabel. And 8, anytime Josie talks about being in jail.
Oh, juvie. Good times.
Oh, juvie.
Okay, good luck, everyone.
Amazing.
Because listen, on the level of absurdity that this movie is, I think that's what Ellie put into the drinking game rules here.
Mm-hmm. I think it deserves an absurd drinking game.
It really does.
And also remember to stick around to the end of the episode to listen to our original song based on Bottoms.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 we're gay.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community, and we just want to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. And this week, especially, we want to start with, we've gotten, obviously lots of people reaching out about Journey to the Heart and how much they're enjoying the first episode that's been out. We're so glad. Again, it's great to be able to share it with everyone finally. We've been working on it for a really long time, and we're super pumped that everyone can actually listen to it now. So we wanted to shout out especially Butch Boudoir Project, who has been reaching out, especially because their son is super into it, and I love that. But we've just, if you've listened and you just want to let us know, it does... it feels nice when you hear from people when you've been working on something for a long time. And we are big fans of the show, obviously. So, no pressure.
Let us know your thoughts.
Let us know how much you love
please.
it.
Also, Doff Plancha reached out on Instagram to say that they found our Should Have Been Gay for Coyote Ugly. They just said they wanted to thank us so much for our Should Have Been Gay episode on Coyote Ugly. They just finished rewatching and were struck by how gay it was. And I feel like this is probably how a lot of people find us. They said, Coyote Ugly is gay into Google, and we popped up. So they were really happy to see that we were talking about it because, yes, that shit is gay. I also would like to say another personal anecdote, which is for anyone in my age group or demographic, you know, some of the members of the Femmes are a bit younger. They're like 24 to 26, and they haven't seen Coyote Ugly. It's like not in their movie repertoire. And so I also personally felt very seen by this person who loves Coyote Ugly. I was like, thank you for reminding me that, yes, Coyote Ugly is a great fucking movie.
Am I old, Ellie, for liking Coyote Ugly?
Yes.
Of all the things that make me feel old.
No, it made me feel old. Because
well, yeah, which makes me feel ancient.
Exactly. I was like, what the hell?
But I'm just a little baby.
I know. I'm like, when Coyote Ugly turns into a classic that the children haven't seen, I'm like, this is not right.
No, and also like you're missing out.
I know. Well, I am going to show them it because they'll love it. They'll love it. But
they're going to have a fucking time of it. Listen.
Oh, yes. They will have their own Coyote Ugly awakening. It's going to be great.
As always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette. Thank you all so much. We could not keep making this podcast without you and all of our patrons.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use for podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch them.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us. Our audio production is done by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Murison. And various other social media and production shenanigans are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, the easiest way is to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps new people find the show and lets them know, yes, you should listen to this.
If you want to join our Patreon, you get access to ad-free episodes, our Discord chat, all sorts of other fun stuff like watch parties with us for Lez-ssentials. You can find that at bit.ly/LezPatreon.
If you want to get some Lez Hang Out merch, you can do that at bit.ly/LezShop. We have all kinds of things like tees, tanks, and totes. The 3 T's, our favorite.
And remember, we have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at $beanprod.
Or at our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app, and our second show, Journey to the Heart, is coming out now. Our second episode just dropped today.
And if you want to help supporting us and making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And
let's
hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Listen up, bitches.
Ladies, could we have your attention, please?
Our time is right now. Everybody looking for a fight. How could I be so stupid? Bite down. Let me show you how to take a punch. Buckle up. I kinda liked how close I came to being by your side. Out in the open, not your type. Though, guess I should have known it from the start. 'Cause everybody's looking for an answer. Everybody's looking to us. Once we feel we finally have the chance, we're gonna ride that wave up. 'Cause we came from the bottom, all the way to the top. Always forgotten, but we never stop. We'll be going down, swinging. Hear the bell ringing. Take your place in the
to who I am and what I'm doing. You might need to take me with a grain of salt. Pucker up, I never knew why I could never be the one for you. I swear when you walked in the room, my heart would start to beat out of my chest. 'Cause everybody thought they knew us better. Now they know the shit that we done. Wish you knew I'd wanted you forever before I fucked it all up. 'Cause we came from the bottom all the way to the top, always forgotten, but we never stop. We'll be going down swinging. Hear that bell ringing. Take your place in the great big pyramid. Down at the base where you know you're feeling it. Weigh you down.
Listen up, asshole.
Blood makes the grass grow.
Listen up, asshole.
Blood makes the grass grow. 'Cause we came from
Listen
the
up,
bottom
asshole.
all the way to the top, always
Blood makes the
forgotten,
grass
but we never
grow.
stop. We'll be going down swinging. Hear that bell ringing. Take your place in that great big pyramid. Down at the base where you know you're feeling it. Weigh you down.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast, and with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.